Hello everyone. Today we have Miss Pooja Kumawat with us, and Pooja has joined Nvidia a few months back only as an ASIC engineer. And prior to joining Nvidia, she has worked as an associate design engineer at Intel, and she had also done her internship at NXP Semiconductors for 1 year. And Pooja has completed her master's in communication systems engineering from IIT BHU Varanasi. So we will get to know Pooja about her journey of getting into Nvidia and the various rounds. Everything we'll get to know about this placement procedure in detail from Pooja. So thank you, Pooja. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So Pooja, we can talk a bit about the role, like जो आपका role वहाँ पे Nvidia में या like it says ASIC engineer. So if you
Mhm.
could tell us a bit about that role, like what do you do on regular basis, the various skill set required for this role and so on. If you could talk a
Mhm.
bit about that, yeah.
Okay, so my role is ASIC engineer, which means generally we are working on the low power modeling techniques. So
Okay.
all the NVIDIA products go through our team only. So first
Okay.
we analyze the product, whatever we have taped in, and now the new product what we are releasing. So we analyze those products and then we check like where we can save the power, how we optimize our design so that we can save the power, the leakage we can save. And if we are using the same leakage number as we used in the last product, then how we can optimize the performance. So it's like performance versus power because
Okay.
so that's what we are doing here. So all the analysis we need to do. And once we are okay with the analysis, then we work with the low power architect team to give them the
Okay.
feedback and then they implement those changes. That's what we do. So it's
Okay.
like from the starting of the project till the ending of the project, we are working with the different teams. So,
Yeah.
like when they started, we give those numbers to the higher management about the project,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then if they allow us, कि like हाँ अभी अच्छा है project, then we can start the project. And in between, when the project started, then we talk to the different teams, and when we define the specs, and when we are actually implementing, it's not easy, right? So if
Of
some of
course.
the
Of
things
course.
comes up, so we talk to different teams, and then we give them the feedback and work with them. That's what we do.
ओके ओके एंड
Mhm.
इफ यू टॉक अबाउट स्किल्स लाइक क्या टूल्स आप लोग यूज करते हैं ऑफ कोर्स देयर मे बी सम इंटरनल टूल्स जो आप नहीं
Yes.
लाइक नहीं शेयर कर सकते बट इन जनरल ऐसे प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज या क्या क्या टूल्स आप लोग यूज करते हो इन योर वर्क
Okay. So the main skills needed here is you should have the basics of programming any language, but here we are
ओके
using Python only. And all the tools are internal to NVIDIA, so I can't tell about the
या
tools
या
because we are the only one who are making those tools
ओके
and we are modifying those tools.
या
So we are handling those responsibilities. And apart from it, because it's related to leakage, low power team, so you should know the low power techniques which used in the VLSI. Then how you can optimize the power performance and area. That's what you have to know. So it's like you should have the complete information about the VLSI thing, how we can optimize all the things, frequency, we can go for the maximum thing, something like that. So the
ओके
whole knowledge you should have, the basics of VLSI you should have. Low power techniques are mainly important because here
या
we are using those, and the Python we are using.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, sounds interesting. Like even though I have done my bachelor's in electronics and communication, I have forgotten almost all of it now, except a few things which I use on regular basis. So ASIC का मेरा like I wanted to know कि what does ASIC stand for? Even it may be trivial for you, but क्या
It's
ASI?
ASIC and FPGA. So ASIC is generally pronounced as ASIC. So it's
Okay.
application specific integrated
Integrated
circuit.
circuits. Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
And FPGA is a field programmable gate array,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
means we can use it for all the it's a general purpose. Okay. So
Okay.
you can use for any application, but ASIC meaning application specific integrated circuit, meaning you can use only for single application. Let's suppose you are designing a circuit chip you are designing,
Yes.
and it is you are designing for the gaming, let's suppose. So you can use only for the gaming. That's a
Okay.
specific application you are
Specific
for designing.
application. Oh.
That's
Okay.
why we
Okay.
call it as a ASIC engineer.
ओके एसिक इंजीनियर तो ये
Yeah.
एसिक और एसोसिएट डिजाइन ये दोनों क्या लाइक आर दीज टू सिमिलर और लाइक क्या रिलेशन है इन दोनों में लाइक यू हैव वर्कड एट इंटेल एज एसोसिएट डिजाइन इंजीनियर अभी यहाँ
Yeah.
पे आप एसिक इंजीनियर हैं तो लाइक डज आपका पास्ट एक्सपीरियंस यहाँ पे हेल्प किया या लाइक क्या relation है इन दोनों में? Yeah,
Actually, associate design engineer.
system on chip.
So
Okay,
system on chip is the whole chip, the functionality on the chip. So generally मेरा वहाँ पे था physical designing, which was a back end profile.
okay,
The whole work like we used to deal with the layout and all the other techniques before the tape out, sign off techniques, physical verification, physical designing. That's
okay.
what we used to do. So the
Yeah,
whole system we are challenging. We are using the whole system. We are using the blocks. We are having the information about the whole system.
okay,
That's
okay.
what we are using system on chip.
Yeah,
So if you are working the system on chip, it means the general term is कि आपको पूरा चिप पे काम करने को मिलेगा, इधर ही आर इन द फ्रंट एंड और बैक एंड एनीवेयर. सो जनरली इंटेल्स का ये नोमेनक्लेचर है. फिर एनी फ्रेशर और समवन कम्स, दे गिव द प्रोफाइल एसोसिएट डिजाइन इंजीनियर नो मैटर व्हाट वर्क यू आर डूइंग.
oh, okay,
So
okay,
that's the profile name only. Here
okay,
also Nvidia ASIC engineer is not about the only my team. अगर someone is joining, so most of the time उनको ASIC engineer ही profile मिलेगा.
oh,
And
अच्छा,
then internally they have some different profile, but that doesn't matter for the outside. We say just ASIC engineer, associate design engineer.
okay, okay.
Internally we can call it anything.
So we can talk a bit about like अब हम कि Nvidia में आपके selection procedure के बारे में we can talk about कि what was the procedure which they conducted in your case, like maybe resume shortlisting, like how did you
Mhm.
apply, then resume shortlisting, then test. So if you could walk us through those steps. So yeah.
Okay. So actually मैंने apply नहीं किया था. What I like in my MTech, I got the offer from the Nvidia for the internship, but I
Okay.
was chosen I was like thinking to choose a different company just because of the profile what I was getting in the internship. So
Yeah.
at that time I rejected this offer. Now then they again reached out to me on the same email ID. I have not
Okay.
applied anywhere. And
Yeah.
then they asked me to appear for a test if I want. Then I
Yeah.
just for my interest I just went for the test. And in
Yeah.
the test, all the questions like NVIDIA test is covering all the VLSI concepts. It's not like कि front end होगा or back end होगा or something programming. It will cover all the VLSI concepts. So for me, in the test also, they had questions from GATE for the
Okay.
digital electronics.
Mhm.
Then we comes up for the CMOS VLSI design, which is a digital VLSI design. Okay, you can call it that also.
Yeah.
And some of the question from the aptitude.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA specifically asked question from computer architecture also,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
memory mapping and pipelining. Some
Oh,
questions are from that area also.
okay.
And two code were there, just a small problem they were giving. And just we need to write a piece of code. And you can use any programming language,
Okay.
no matter C, Python, C++, or whatever you want, you can use.
Okay.
We just have to write the code for that. And we just need to run that particular test cases, how many test cases it is passing. That's what in the test first round.
Okay. So ये एक online test था. It was totally an
Yeah.
online test.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And as you
Yes.
mentioned that कि कुछ VLSI specific questions थे,
Mm-hmm.
aptitude था, computer architecture भी था, and there were two coding questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
तो तो आपने like did you have to revise certain things before appearing for the test या सब कुछ आपके like even though आपका background completely इसी domain का है तो
Mm-hmm.
but yeah आपने तैयारी कैसे की उस test की तैयारी आपने?
Okay. So actually, when I was in the MTech, so I have gone through all the concepts that time
Yes.
only.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
aptitudes, like I have the strong command in the aptitude and
Yes.
programming earlier also. And the digital
Okay.
VLSI, because I was working in the physical designing, so I had the knowledge from the circuits also. So
Okay.
it's like I have not prepared anything specifically because in my internship and my MTech, I have prepared for those topics.
Yes.
And we'll walk you through from that topics also, like from where you can prepare.
Okay.
So just I appeared for the test. So it was easy for me because
Okay.
I already cleared NVIDIA test
Yes.
that time.
Earlier,
So
yeah.
it's like almost similar, yeah.
And what was the duration of test? Means how much time was allotted for the test?
I think 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Okay, 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And they covered all these things in that
Yeah,
syllabus. Okay.
yeah,
So after, yeah. So after this test, then they would have conducted like different rounds of interview. Then you got
yes. Yes.
shortlisted for the interview. Okay.
Hmm.
So now we can talk about the interviews, like the various rounds in that case, like kitne rounds the and unka focus kya tha in each and every round. We can talk about the interview rounds. Yeah.
Okay. So I was working as a physical design engineer in Intel. So
Yeah.
first they asked me to appear for the interview. They were not informing me about the team and profile something. I asked them
Okay.
like, is it related to physical design? They said yes. Then my first interview was scheduled, and it was completely on the physical design. Whatever
Yeah.
work I have done in the Intel, so it is related to that only. So first question they asked like, what have you done in your
Okay.
Intel, right? Intel
Right.
experience. Then I said like whatever work I have done,
Yeah.
and from then I have worked on some DRC recipe I've written there, which
Okay.
was too good. Then she was asking me again and again because it was something nice work I have done there. So she asked me the logic, how I proceed for that problem, how I like what was the result for that problem.
Okay.
So once I explained all the things to her, then she started asking me the basics of the physical design. Like I was working in the like EM and IR drop analysis also there,
Okay.
which is a sign of analysis. So she asked me, what is EM electromigration and
Okay.
what is IR drop analysis, like why we are doing it, okay, and
Yes.
how we are doing it. That's what she
Okay.
asked. Then because she was also working in the same domain, so she was
Yeah.
asking in depth. Then she said ki let's suppose we are seeing EM drop and you said ki ha EM ho raha hai and we don't allow it, like ki we
Yeah.
want to be in some limits. Then she was asking ki how you will proceed for this problem. If there is some problem of the EM, then we use some optimization techniques there for the EM and IR.
Yeah.
So she was asking for that. Then after that, once she was satisfied those answers, then she started asking about the crosstalk analysis, which happens at
Okay.
backend, because in the backend we have seen these type of problems. In the
Okay.
front end, the front end engineer don't come across this type of problems. So maybe questions will be different for them. But
Okay.
completely, I was from the backend, so they asked the same questions.
Okay.
Then after the cross-check analysis, she asked ki, what are the like scripting language you have used there? What is the tool you have used there for the EM and IR analysis? And then how you were proceeding with that? Did you use any optimization techniques like some automation in the EM/IR analysis also? That's what she asked. Then she started asking about the physical designing flow, because when we use the block like PNR or APR we do, so we have to go through the whole physical designing flow.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
it's because it's a full chip also, but full
Yeah.
chip designing law handled by some senior engineers. So she asked me only for the APR.
Okay.
Okay, so the whole physical design flow I have explained her.
Yeah.
Then she asked me what is DRC, design rule checks, and what is LVS, which is layout versus schematic, and why we are doing these analysis before the tape out, why we can't skip any of these. And then she asked me what is on chip variation, what is aging. Aging meaning like if you are having some chip, so after a few years the
Oh,
performance will not be same
yes.
as
The
you
great.
bought it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what she was asking. So it went around 1 hour and 30 minutes, the same interview. And she was just, I was explaining on the whiteboard, whatever she was asking, and I need to explain on the whiteboard. That's what we were discussing. That's how
Okay.
the first round went on.
Means ये भी this was online interview only or
Yeah, yeah. All the
online.
interviews are online. I
Okay.
never visited the office before,
Okay.
like
Okay.
getting the offer letter.
So by whiteboard you
So
mean like in the
in
meeting
yeah, yeah,
itself?
yeah,
Okay, in the meeting
yeah.
itself.
In the meeting, we use the whiteboard there.
Yes. Yes.
So there we can explain the thing. We can write the code, those are the text, and we can use a marker. Those
Okay,
things we
okay,
can do.
okay. So in this round, as I can see that they were mainly keen to know about your previous experience कि वहाँ पे आपने क्या
Yeah,
किया है, and then the related terminologies कि like why did you do this, as you mentioned several things. तो उनका
yeah,
yeah,
because she was also working in the same team and
yes,
I
yes,
worked in the same team. So, like,
yeah,
she was asking the same thing because she was expecting me to join the same team now.
yeah,
So, whatever work she was doing at the Nvidia, that's what she was asking related to those questions, some basics. Those are the things she asked. Nothing
okay,
from like some knowledge thing. It's like whatever experience you have plus the basic, like why we are doing this. It's not like
yes,
how we are doing.
yeah,
So why we are doing all the things, some basic thing, like how many layers are there, something. So like in between the questions, she was asking some of the basic things which are mainly like handled by the physical design engineers.
yes,
So that's what she asked.
okay, okay. Got it. So,
Mhm.
like, and as you mentioned, कि this round was about one hour and 30 minutes
Yes,
approximately,
yes,
right?
yes.
इस round में कुछ coding questions वगैरह थे, like any coding question और कुछ
Not
programming
really.
related? Okay,
नो क्योंकि फिजिकल डिजाइनिंग में ऐसा है ना, कोडिंग ज्यादा नहीं होता है। फॉर सम
okay,
ऑटोमेशन यू कैन राइट द कोड, बट
okay.
मेनली कॉन्सेप्ट्स आपके क्लियर होना चाहिए, बिकॉज इफ यू आर गुड विद द कॉन्सेप्ट्स
हाँ,
तो कोडिंग इजीली हो जाएगा। तो कोडिंग का कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं था इस राउंड में।
okay, okay.
हम्म।
And like any question about कि like why do you do you want to leave your previous organization? क्योंकि normally लोगों का ये भी
um,
concern रहता है, तो उन्होंने ये सब कुछ पूछा, even though they had reached out to you, I like you mentioned that they had reached out to you over email, but any questions इस direction में कुछ था क्या?
No, no, no.
Okay,
Like throughout my interview, there were no question कि what are your strength or weaknesses, why you want to join, why
अच्छा,
you are leaving this,
okay,
nothing. ऐसा कोई question नहीं था. All are technical questions only.
oh, okay, okay, okay,
हम्म।
okay. So ठीक है, we talked about first round and we
Okay.
yeah you detailed everything. So उसके बाद फिर क्या हुआ? What happened after first round?
After 2 days, I got call from the HR and she said कि you are selected for that profile. So then they scheduled my second interview with this team in which I am working.
Okay,
So it was taken by my manager and one manager under my manager. So two
okay,
manager came for this
okay.
interview. So it's like, as I said, it's a low power modeling and analysis team. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was no interconnect between the my experience and what this team
Yes,
is doing.
that's right.
So there were not much question about my experience.
Okay.
Initially, they start with my experience, like what work you have done.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I inform about that, like what is the work I have done. Then here the main work is programming only. So when I
Okay.
said ki
Yeah.
I have written an automation there in Intel, so then they asked more about the logic. They asked everything about that, whatever logic I used, why I used this logic, why not, and how it improved the performance, something like that. So they also asked me to explain this on the whiteboard,
Okay.
whatever work I've done. Like
Yeah.
I've done some DRC things, so I've explained them, and
Okay.
then like 15 to 20 minutes they were asking questions from that field only, because it was some coding work
Yeah.
also. It was interesting for them. It was
Yeah.
such a nice problem I have worked on, so they were asking the same question on for 20 minutes. Then they started asking question from the work what they are supposed to do me in this team.
Okay. Okay.
So then they started with the low power techniques, like what are the low power techniques in the VLSI. Then after informing, then there were some asking cross questions also.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
like the clock gating, power gating, whenever I informed, then they were asking some cross questions. Then they were asking ki how many type of power leakages are there. Okay, because it's a leakage profile. So how many types of are there, like dynamic, static. Then when I inform about these things, then they said ki on what parameters they are depending. Like let's suppose if I change the frequency, will it affect the static leakage also? Something like that. Will
Yeah.
it affect switching power also? Then that the question, like cross question they were asking in all the question, whatever they ask, if I'm answering something, they will again ask
Yeah.
some
Okay.
question from that only.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they ask why we are going for the low power techniques, like why we are going towards, everyone is saying low power design, why we are going there, why we are not happy with what design we have, something like that they
Okay.
ask, which is a some real time question you can say. It's
Yeah.
not कि इसका कोई fix answer है, but
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
give.
Right.
And then they ask digital electronics questions
Okay.
from the gate, okay, which is from the FSM. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like a gate question they asked on the FSM. Then the counters pe आया questions. Then register pe. Then
Oh,
some combinational circuits पे भी थे. Like
okay.
they were giving some problem कि ऐसा है. And then we want to how you will design this and write the code also. For the FSM they asked me to like कुछ भी जो बीच में प्रॉब्लम दे रहा छोटे से, तो इसके लिए हाउ विल
Oh,
यू राइट द कोड,
okay.
बिकॉज
Okay.
कोडिंग प्रोफाइल यहाँ पे पूरा है. So I was not comfortable with Python at that time. So I was
Okay.
comfortable with C and Tickle. So I was using C or Tickle alternatively. Like जब भी है तो they are not कि syntactically पूरा अच्छा होना
हाँ,
चाहिए, कि उनका था
logic.
कि
Yeah.
लॉजिक आप क्या
हाँ,
यूज
हाँ,
कर रहे
हाँ,
हो.
हाँ.
Then after that they asking कि a few aptitude questions थे उनके, कि aptitude में like when we are doing this a person is going here and something like that aptitude question कि water हम ले रहे हैं and we have this 4 ml का एक है हमारे पास में मग है and एक 2 ml का मग
Okay.
है,
Okay.
how
Yeah.
will you,
Yes.
या कि कितना भी चाहिए water, I
हाँ.
don't remember exact number.
Yeah,
बट
yeah,
वो वाला ऐसा एप्टीट्यूड का क्वेश्चन था.
yeah.
देन दे गेव मी अ सर्किट कि जिसमें कुछ छोटा छोटा ब्लॉक लाइक 3 to 4 थे. एंड दे सेड कि वी वांट टू ऑप्टिमाइज दिस पावर. जस्ट अब
Oh,
बताओ तुम क्या क्या टेक्निक्स यूज कर सकती हो. देन आई सेड कि हमारे पास कितना फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी है, क्या हम टेक्नोलॉजी, बिकॉज टेक्नोलॉजी स्पेसिफिक होता है कि हम टेक्नोलॉजी भी चेंज कर सकते हैं. ही सेड यू हैव द होल फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, यू कैन डू वट एवर यू वांट. देन आई वाज लाइक रीचिंग आउट कि हाँ हम ये यूज कर सकते हैं, यहाँ पे हम ये यूज कर सकते हैं, इस ब्लॉक को इधर शिफ्ट कर सकते हैं. बिकॉज क्या हो रहा था, दो थे उनमें बहुत ज्यादा डिस्टेंस और बहुत ज्यादा नेट्स बहुत ज्यादा लीकेज बहुत ज्यादा हो रहा था वहां पे भी. तो ऐसे कि हाँ इसको थोड़ा इधर करके और वो हो सकता है. पावर गेटिंग क्लॉक गेटिंग को तो यूज करना ही था. देवर लाइक कि हम कैसे यूज करेंगे. पावर गेटिंग टर्म तुमने बता दिया, क्लॉक गेटिंग बता दी, यूज कहाँ करेंगे इस ब्लॉक में.
yeah.
दैट्स व्हाट दे वर आस्किंग. So it was around also 1 hour and 30 minutes. Then they asked me कि अगर आपको कुछ questions है तो you can ask. Then again I asked. So it went around for 2 hours.
Okay,
This interview.
okay,
That's how the second interview
okay.
हुआ.
Means round one था, and then you're like as you wanted to switch your domain, means
हम्म.
फिर तो दूसरा राउंड ऑफ इंटरव्यू हुआ और इस राउंड में ये सब चीजें बात हुई. तो फिर इसके
हम्म.
बाद क्या हुआ, लाइक व्हाट हैपेंड आफ्टर दिस राउंड?
Okay. So after 3 to 4 days, I again received a call from the HR कि
Okay,
you are again shortlisted for this profile also.
okay.
So if you want again to go into the physical design, we can schedule your next interview in that. And if you want to in this be in this profile, then I'll schedule your next interview in this profile only. But after this, you won't have the flexibility to go into the physical design.
Oh,
So
okay. I have to take a
so you
call.
can.
Yeah.
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
Mm,
तो आई वॉज प्रीटी श्योर कि फिजिकल डिजाइन में नहीं जाना है. दैट्स व्हाई आई
mm,
सेड कि ओके आई एम ओके विद दिस प्रोफाइल. देन
mm.
दे अगेन शेड्यूल्ड माय इंटरव्यू
Means
फॉर द
third
सेम
round of
प्रोफाइल.
interview. Third round.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So it was also for the same profile as I have chosen the same profile.
Yeah.
So again, a manager came. She was taking my interview. Like managers are working under my manager only.
Oh,
So
okay.
इसलिए first दो manager वो थे and then third time also a manager came and she was taking my interview. And she asked again कि क्या काम किया है in the Intel.
Okay.
Then I said the same thing कि हाँ ये जो काम किया है, मतलब ज्यादा क्या था, बैकएंड में उनका भी ज्यादा एक्सपर्टीज था नहीं. तो दे वर नॉट आस्किंग द क्वेश्चन, बट वो जो कोडिंग वाला प्रॉब्लम था, शी वाज आल्सो आस्किंग अबाउट दैट प्रॉब्लम ओनली कि कोडिंग में कैसे तुमने उसको अप्रोच किया प्रॉब्लम, कितना, दो चार क्वेश्चन उसी से थे. एंड देन शी स्टार्टेड आस्किंग अबाउट द लो पावर टेक्निक्स. अगेन शी आस्क्ड बिकॉज उसी टीम में जाना है.
Mm,
देन लो पावर टेक्निक्स के बाद में शी सेड कि व्हाई वी आर यूजिंग दिस लो पावर डिजाइन,
okay.
व्हाई वी आर कि हम उसी की तरफ क्यों जा रहे हैं.
Mm,
Then once we are done with the question, then she ask question from the static timing analysis.
okay.
Because ये वाला एरिया मेरा कवर नहीं हुआ था.
हाँ.
तो she said कि static timing analysis क्या होता है, क्यों करते हैं. Then she said कि setup time, hold time क्या होता है, and what if we met नहीं करते हैं उनको, तो उस केस में क्या प्रॉब्लम होगा. Then she gave me few circuits for the static timing analysis, and she was asking कि इसमें setup violation हो रहा है क्या, इसमें hold violation हो रहा है क्या. And she given me like the T clock, something setup time, hold time of that circuit. और फिर उसके बाद में then she said कि maximum period कितना हम ले सकते हैं, T clock या F clock कितना इसका maximum होगा. And then मैंने कहा कि हाँ सेटअप इसमें हो रहा है, तो how you came to know कि इसमें हो रहा है, and if हो रहा है तो how will you approach this to solve this issue. होल्ड हो रहा है तो तुम इसको मतलब in short she was asking all the techniques we use when setup violation आता है, तो how we optimize the design, and for the whole time also कि how we are optimizing designing. Then she said कि frequency जो है कि frequency वेरी करने से कौन से टाइम पे फर्क पड़ेगा, इस पे ऐसा मतलब ठीक हम उसको कर सकते हैं just after varying the frequency. That's what she asked, meaning static timing analysis का आपको full में depth in depth knowledge आपको होना चाहिए.
Yeah.
Then again she asked कि लीकेज कितना टाइप का होता है सर्किट में,
Oh,
एंड
okay.
किस पैरामीटर पे वो डिपेंड करते हैं. देन लो पावर टेक्निक्स ऑलरेडी शी आस्क्ड. देन फिर उन्होंने मेरे को जैसे एसटी के लिए सर्किट दिया था 3 4 सेम क्वेश्चन उन्होंने मेरे को इसके लिए दिया लो पावर के लिए कि कुछ ब्लॉक्स वगैरह थे उनको रीअरेंज करना, कौन कौन से टेक्निक्स हम यूज कर सकते हैं. तो शी वाज लाइक कि तुमको 6 मेथड बताना है कि इसको ठीक करने के लिए तुम कैसे इसका पावर को ऑप्टिमाइज करोगे.
Oh,
शी वाज आस्किंग फॉर द नंबर, ऐसा नहीं कि आपने एक दिया एंड यू आर ओके विद दैट. नो, शी वाज आस्किंग कि हाँ अभी और इसमें और क्या कर सकते हैं. So I was able to answer the questions. Then in the last like 6 मैंने बताया. Then after the interview she was asking कि if you have any question, I said कि इससे ज्यादा और क्या टेक्निक हम यूज कर सकते हैं to optimize this. प्रेजेंसी सेट की ऑलरेडी यू कवर्ड ऑल द पॉइंट्स, सो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। फिर आगे नेक्स्ट है तो फिर वो हमको फैब से ही होगा या टेक्नोलॉजी नोट चेंज करना, वो सब रहेगा। बट ऑलरेडी जो पॉइंट जो हमारे पास गिवन सर्किट इसके तुमने सारे ऑलरेडी कवर कर दिए हैं। दैट्स व्हाट शी सेड। फिर उसके बाद में शी वाज आस्किंग एप्टीट्यूड क्वेश्चंस, तो उन्होंने कुछ एप्टीट्यूड के क्वेश्चंस ही पूछे थे। फिर उसके बाद में एप्टीट्यूड के क्वेश्चंस के बाद में शी वाज लाइक, हाँ ऐसा नहीं कि बहुत हरी में थे, यू कैन टेक योर टाइम, यू जस्ट हैव टू गिव हर द लॉजिक हाउ यू आर अप्रोचिंग दिस प्रॉब्लम। स्टैटिक टाइम एनालिसिस में क्या था कि मेरे को पढ़ा बहुत टाइम हो गया था, लाइक बहुत टाइम पहले पढ़ा था, तो आई वाज एबल टू एक्सप्लेन द लॉजिक लाइक हाँ क्यों हो रहा है, ये क्या हो रहा है। देन कि वो एकदम टर्म जो लिखना होता है इक्वेशन, उसके लिए आई वाज टेकिंग सम टाइम एंड शी वाज ओके कि हाँ ठीक है टेक योर टाइम, बिकॉज शी वाज मेनली इंटरेस्टेड इन द लॉजिक कि आपको एक्चुअली पता है ना हम क्या कर रहे हैं, क्यों कर रहे हैं। दैट्स व्हाट शी सेड। देन बिकॉज कोडिंग का प्रोफाइल था तो अगेन शी आस्क्ड द क्वेश्चंस। हाँ हाँ, तो कोडिंग क्वेश्चन ऐसा था कि शी हैज गिवन सम इनपुट सीक्वेंस, और ऐसा है कि आउटपुट आपका क्या आना चाहिए। तो इनपुट सीक्वेंस था 0 1 0 1 बिट्स का कुछ मतलब था, तो उसमें ये था कि जब 3 टाइम्स कंटिन्यूअसली 1 आएगा देन आउटपुट में 1 कंसीडर करना है। ओके, वैसा था। एक तो उस पे कोड लिखना था। देन उसके बाद में कोडिंग के ही 3 4 क्वेश्चन यही थे कि हाँ इनपुट पे सीक्वेंस ये है तो आउटपुट पे सीक्वेंस ये लाना है, तो कैसे करोगे। दैट्स व्हाट शी वाज आस्किंग, बिकॉज़ आई रिमेंबर ओनली दिस क्वेश्चन के इनपुट सीक्वेंस पे मैंने बहुत टाइम लिया था। तो इसलिए सो दैट्स ऑल इन दैट इंटरव्यू एंड इट वाज डन। लाइक ये के बाद में कोई इंटरव्यू नहीं था, इट वाज लास्ट। Then I received the call from the HR.
Yeah, so like as you mentioned कि एक like first test था वहाँ पे and then there were 3 rounds of interview, right? Yeah. Yeah, I have seen on your LinkedIn post also that you have summarized all the rounds, means round 1, round 2, round 3. You have summarized all the things. We can add the link to this post in the description of this video. So yeah, I think this video will definitely be helpful for the students, those who want to go into these profiles or similar profiles. This will definitely be helpful for them. So like आपके पास कोई suggestions, like क्योंकि VLSI इन सब डोमेन में लोग आना चाहते हैं और like पूरा एक डोमेन ही है अपने आप में ये, और तो like do you have any suggestions for them, those who want to or those who are looking for these type of profiles? उन्हें क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए?
Okay, so it's like VLSI एक vast domain है. If someone say कि I want to go in the VLSI, it's not a complete कि वो actually में interested है, because VLSI में भी you have multiple profiles. some front end पे है, कोई architecture level पे है, physical designing में है, and then some in packaging. तो ऐसा है कि for the particular profile you need some specific skills only. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने कुछ और पढ़ा front end का and you are now getting into the back end. It's not possible. So generally I suggest कि scripting सबको आना चाहिए, which is a one coding language they should learn. तो पाइथन अब इंडस्ट्री में सबसे ज्यादा डिमांडिंग है, तो पाइथन दे कैन लर्न। और पाइथन के लिए तो अनलिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज, आप गूगल पे डालोगे बहुत सारा ट्यूटोरियल मिल जाएगा, यूट्यूब पे डाल के बहुत सारे कोर्सेज मिल जाएंगे पाइथन के लिए, सो दे कैन लर्न दैट। सेकंड थिंग कि वही है कि VLSI में आप किसी भी प्रोफाइल का इंटरव्यू देते हो आपको स्टैटिक टाइमिंग एनालिसिस वो पूछेंगे, विच इज STA। तो उसके लिए VLSI एक्सपर्ट जो साइट है, आई थिंक सब लोग उसी से प्रिपेयर करते हैं, लाइक इट हैज कवर्ड ऑल द पॉइंट्स। The VLSI expert site will add the link in this post video. Okay, and then उसके बाद में होता है कि if you want to go for the front end, then you should learn Verilog or VHDL, but industry में सब लोग Verilog use कर रहे हैं, so for the Verilog you can go through NPTEL courses. तो एक कोर्स है हार्डवेयर मॉडलिंग यूजिंग Verilog by Professor इंद्रनील सेन गुप्ता। उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से आपको बताया है, Verilog सिखाया है, ही जस्ट डिजाइन अ प्रोजेक्ट आल्सो यूजिंग दैट Verilog 32-bit प्रोसेसर ही डिजाइन। तो वो काफी अच्छा कोर्स इन डेप्थ में वो कवर कर लेगा। देन फॉर द फिजिकल डिजाइन पे भी NPTEL का कोर्स है बाय द सेम प्रोफेसर, सो यू कैन गो थ्रू दैट कोर्स इफ यू वांट टू गो इनटू द बैक एंड। देन उसके बाद में अगर आपको चाहिए कि आपको मेमोरी डिजाइनिंग जैसे SRAM डिजाइनिंग जो मेरा इंटर्नशिप में काम था, अगर आपको उसमें जाना है, in that case you need to learn spice language which is a transistor level correction। तो वो आर्किटेक्चर लेवल के आपको वो चाहिए होगा। these are the basic skills which should, like एक फ्रेशर को वो चीज आना ही चाहिए, because if you don't know anything तो फिर वो कैसे स्टार्ट करेंगे। तो बेसिक्स आपको आना चाहिए, डिजिटल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स आपको बहुत अच्छे से आना चाहिए, ऑल द ग्रेट क्वेश्चंस एंड द EDC जो सब्जेक्ट होता है हमारे बीटेक में और जो गेट में भी होता है, तो विच इज लाइक कि बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है वो ट्रांजिस्टर का, ऑल द सर्किट्स ऑल द डिवाइसेस यू आर यूजिंग, डायोड, ट्रांजिस्टर, राइट। तो वहां से क्वेश्चंस आएंगे फॉर द फ्रेशर्स के लिए। एंड इफ यू वांट टू गो फॉर द एनालॉग प्रोफाइल देन आपको RLC सर्किट पे आना चाहिए, राइट। तो उसके लिए भी आपको NPTEL का ही कोर्स मिल जाएगा। आई डोंट रिमेम्बर द एग्जैक्ट नेम ऑफ दैट कोर्स, बट NPTEL का कोर्स है, काफी अच्छा है। तो RLC सर्किट आपको बहुत अच्छे से आना चाहिए, और नेटवर्क और वो आपको बहुत अच्छे से आना चाहिए एनालॉग प्रोफाइल के आपको जाना है तो। और नेटवर्क एंड एनालॉग इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, यू शुड नो दीज थिंग्स। तो आपको गेट लेवल तक के अच्छे क्वेश्चन में होने चाहिए, क्योंकि फॉर द फ्रेशर्स दे विल आस्क सम क्वेश्चंस ओनली। जब आप एक्सपीरियंस होते हो देन दे विल आस्क अबाउट द एरिया ऑफ योर एक्सपर्टीज।
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. Definitely, it would help the upcoming electronics guys mainly, like those who want to get into these domains. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me.